Okay.
Look, I'm like the Microsoft the
Paperclip,
Internet Explorer
worthless.
browser right now. Leave me alone.
Hey, he can only afford 2 MOA dots, and he's a cop. Come on. He probably doesn't have good internet
Right.
either.
The Chinese made 2 MMOs. Welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Hernandez. Joining you, large and in charge, hit flip flop, mom and pop shops. We're all here together. Joining me tonight, he's got 47 reasons not to buy the new Glock. It's Steve Koski.
48. 48.
Do they have a 40? What did they come out with this year? Is it a 48?
The Glock 47.
Okay.
It's
So I
to
got
shoot
3
immigrants.
more years before I can get a G50.
You know what? So you guys know what the Glock 47 is. Do you want me to? We'll do the intros and I'll explain it. He didn't bitch about the cold once yesterday. It's Robert Wyatt.
That must be a different Robert Wyatt because that thing sucked.
Everyone thought they had a better match because we were missing Kenny Terry.
That's a 10-point increase in everyone's percentage.
It really is.
I'm a match winner.
I'm just trying to help everybody, all right?
Yep. And
Take one for the team, right, Kenny?
Yeah.
And they say crime never sleeps, but if it did, it would have to kick Jared Stepp out of bed. All right.
Look, I get cozy in bed. I like sleeping.
And you can do your new job from bed, right? It's a telecommuting job.
Yeah, I could do my new job from anywhere.
He has a drop box called Victims, and you just leave a message with a video message of what you think happened, and he goes, okay.
Just drag and drop, put it in the folder, problem solved.
Trash
Virtual law
can.
enforcement.
That's the folder.
He's got
That explains so much.
Victims, perpetrators. You're either one or the other.
He's hoping the perpetrator one will do it. Like they just slide it in. It was me. Yeah. So Glock 47 is a Glock 17. I don't know if you guys.
But
With the Glock 19 size frame, right?
No, it's a Glock 17. The only difference is that it has the slide. The dust cover on the frame is shorter. It's Glock 19 length than the dust cover, and then the slide. Remember, they used to have those little adapters so you could put your 17 slide on a 19. So what happened was Glock had a contract that said that the 17 slides and frames had to be interchangeable with the 19 slides and frames. So Glock came out with the Glock 47, which is a 17 Gen 5 that slide and frame are compatible with the 19 Gen 5. So you can just swap them out.
Wait, it doesn't have the shorter grip frame? It's not a 19 size grip frame?
No, it's a Glock 17.
yeah,
Okay, I'm disappointed.
it's dumb. It's a Glock 17 with a slightly shorter
dust cover.
I mean, but
Correct.
what do you
Made
guys
for
expect?
ice.
I mean, when
To
you
shoot
have Glock perfection, you really can't improve on it. It just works.
Yeah, it's.
Well, I mean, all those
that's
Glock guys are saying it was too front heavy, so they need to lose a little bit of
Yeah.
weight.
that's what they
This
were all
much
saying.
plastic.
That's true.
They lost that much more
True.
plastic. It's perfectly fine. Anyways, a couple things I'd like to discuss before we talk about the match yesterday. Got a Trex Arms sidecar 2.0. This thing,
Wow.
this thing is freaking fantastic. So I kind of made the goal is that I want to be able to. I'm going to shoot concealment for a while this year. And so I decided to get like a snazzy rig. And so it'll fit my 3417 and my MR920 on it. And the cool thing is too, is since I'm running, it does a couple things pretty well. So it kind of folds in with your body. The magazine pouch, you can adjust the height of the magazine pouch. So I've dropped it a couple spaces so that I can run a Glock 21 round magazine or another 140 millimeter.
Is that
magazine.
a 21 round magazine?
Are you just happy to
Or are
see
you
us?
just happy to see
Yeah. So it's pretty nice, but if you run the Glock, 15 round magazine, of course you can adjust the height on that. The other part too is how much. So you see the top of the belt clips, how much higher it sits than the top of the belt clips. So the one thing I hate about a lot of some appendix holsters is like I'm scratching the cuticles in my nail on my belt to grab the gun, and this one gives it a pretty clear place to grab, and then it's open cut on the front. So the 34 will literally just end right at the bottom where that light is, and it fits them perfectly. And so like I'm super stoked about it, and I'm going to get another JM custom Kydex that holds the magazine high, because we will learn later on that I really, with like to have not picked up magazines off the ground and just put another one off of my belt into the gun. But live and learn. The other one I got was the same kind of thing. Was the
Oh
J-
Lord.
JM Custom Kydex.
This is a family-friendly show.
Isn't
Tom,
this
put
for
your pants back on.
OnlyFans?
Yeah,
okay.
this is for the 45C. So same thing. Another fantastic holster that just works great, holds it perfectly. I was going to shoot IDPA, but they said this thing was coming in on Saturday, and so I was like, oh, I'll shoot USPSA. But it's
Boy.
but it is a same kind of setup for appendix from HK45, and so it is just snazzy and sweet, and so I'd highly recommend those. They are fantastic.
Who's that by?
JM Custom Kydex.
Okay.
And so they only have about 300 different makes they can make a holster for you for. And so if you have a popular gun, they have a quick ship option. You can have it within a week. If you are weird and want HK45s, it'll take you 4 to 5 weeks. So,
Or
So are you
not
wearing
chanted.
these around?
oh yeah, like I am,
Both of them.
but at the same time. At the same time.
Double stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, I mean we're carrying 45s around, and I wore this sidecar out to go get a haircut today, so it's absolutely it's fantastic.
I thought I saw hair on it. I wasn't sure where it came from.
I've already taken the razor to my stomach just because of all the dry fire practicing I have.
Oh yeah, dry fire.
Yeah, the dry fire. Well, it doesn't feel very dry when the hair is being yanked into the holster, so I just took the Bic to it. I'm not playing around with that anymore. No one sees that. No one sees it. No one even wants to look at it. So what the hell does it matter to me? So
That's
Turn
what
off
she
the
said.
lights, please, God.
yeah, so do that. Okay, so before we talk about the match, let's talk about other things that are going around. Steven, you.
So let's talk about the Glock performance trigger, which I'm probably the last one to hear about. But when Glock sent me an ad, first of all, I looked everywhere. You can buy them for $80, but nobody has them in stock. I checked like a dozen websites, so I ordered 2 from glockparts.com or whatever for $100 each. But apparently, you guys all heard about this,
Yes.
I'm sure by now.
Yes.
I'm the last one.
Well, so for people who aren't in the know, Glock decided that they would like a precock striker. And so they re-engineered and made a performance trigger, which essentially puts a sear in the gun. So I do not know how it interacts with the connector and the sear, or if it removes the connector and puts a sear in it, or
Yes,
what.
it adds a sear, and the sear, the striker stays fully back, and then as you pull the trigger, it just drops the sear out of the way from the striker, and the striker goes forward.
How is that different? How is that different than the way it is now?
Well, the way it is now,
works?
there's still, when you pull the trigger, it does move the striker to the rear
Yeah.
somewhat.
Oh, it goes
And
this
then
and
drops
then
the
drops.
crucifix.
And then the
okay.
connector, that trigger bar hits that connector, and that connector slides that trigger bar down, which drops it and allows the striker to go forward and fire.
Gotcha.
Exactly. The trigger shoe is flatter, but not flat. It still has a little hook at the bottom. Supposed to be similar to a Timney Tech trigger.
Yeah,
it's kind of like they.
unlike a Timney, it probably works.
Yes,
Come on.
Oh,
They
don't
took-
you come on me. That thing is complete garbage. That's not true. Okay, I shouldn't
Mine
be so
has been
hyperbolic.
flawless.
I love on this.
The Timney trigger is probably the best aftermarket trigger for a Glock if you want one to die in the middle of a major match.
There's not one piece of equipment all of us can uniformly agree on ever. Like one thing comes up is like shit, fantastic. I've never had a bad experience with it.
I got
Shut
this
your
We can
I-
all agree
yeah.
Shadow 2 sucks.
shut your
Shut your
But-
whore
Or
mouth.
shut your
Do you
whore
want this barrel vice or not?
As you would expect, Glock took, or who knows how they came up with it. But the flaws that the Timney has, like the Glock has cleaned up all those issues.
Good on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Supposed to break near
Yeah.
3 pounds. Very good break. Very consistent. So anyway, I'll
Do you-
have 2 of them here. Eventually,
Why is this
they're
so
like,
heavy?
"We'll send you an email when your order ships." I'm like, waiting.
waiting.
Yeah,
waiting.
what that basically means is they don't have them in stock. They just said, "Oh, we got them in stock."
Correct.
Exactly, those bastards. What they really said was, "We'll take your money.
Yeah, that's what it is.
No one else will take your
Ah,
money unless they have them in
Optics
stock."
Planet.
And then you're literally gonna see him hit the street in June at like $65 on Battlehawk Armory.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, "Damn you!"
Yeah.
So it's what I think is kind of interesting about it. So they want a Glock certified armor to install them. So I'm not sure if whatever. If they want documentation of the modification that was put in, and
No,
probably
they
not.
just say that about everything. It just drops right in place.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can detail strip your Glock, and if you can take the trigger housing out of the back of the gun, then you can put this trigger in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's
Yeah, because you're not messing with the trigger housing or anything. You're just
No,
simply
you just pull the whole
removing
thing
it
out.
pull
completely.
the whole thing out, drop a new one, and probably
New
So
trigger bar, trigger housing. It all just drops in.
it will be interesting.
Right.
The one thing with those Timneys though is that they can advertise 3, but from my understanding, a lot of them are very much sub 3. Like very, very much sub 3. And the other part is too is the idea of the
You
Glock
say
trigger.
that like it's bad.
My Timney's like just
3?
barely over 2.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah, there you go.
That's the hard thing, man. I'm like, I mean, over 2 pounds, and it's just like, man, it's like pulling a weight.
The interest. Well, I think what's kind of crazy about so the Timney, I'm not sure how much of the over travel it has, so how much preset it has that slack you have to take out. Because I'm thinking about what is the firing pin block? Is the trigger bar put in a position that it's already deactivating the firing pin block? Because I bet you the Glock 1 won't. So the Glock 1 will be farther forward, have a single action brake, but won't be resting on the firing pin block.
Yeah.
As it
Which
starts.
raises the question: will this now be reclassified as a single action gun, as the M&P
they'd have-
and
they'd have
XD
to
should
do it
be?
with an MP. Yeah, too, totally.
Yeah.
It depends on how much Glock goes and donates to USPS.
Yeah, exactly.
professionals.
And if they donate enough to IDPA to get the stock service pistol rules changed so it's allowed.
It's a factory
Yeah.
part. All they
In
so
limited optics.
No, it is a factory part, but it is not as depicted in the
It's cor-
factory
cor-
SKU for
in the fact for
any,
the for
any
the,
gun.
So they
For
will.
any gun.
What are they going to do? They'll just make a Shankoli 34 and be like, ta-da! Here it is. It's a special edition somewhere, or we
When
made
they do that,
2000.
it'll be legal, but not
Yeah.
yet.
Well, the other part is too is like USPSA. You could literally put another gun slide on it, and no one could tell the difference. They
Right.
can't look at it and see it's different parts. So what
Yeah,
is
because
that?
I mean, ROs are just like completely worthless, and we could never ever look at a hammer and be like, I see you put a Cajun Gunworks hammer on
Yeah.
there.
So
I'm happy you
this will
finally
be
said it, Robert.
What's
I-
that?
I'm happy you finally said it.
Dude, I have said it all along.
kind of like the Powder River triggers on the XDs.
Oh,
There will
yeah.
be a lot of drama with this. People showing up to matches, and someone will be saying like, "Hey, that's not allowed in SSB." Well, I did it at another match.
Yeah.
So
No one saw it. No one saw it there. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, and the other part is too is like how much of the stuff that's coming out of the factory that automatically hits. Like some guy at the match was shooting one of the new P320s that had the porting in the slide, the factory porting in the slide, where it has the 4-inch barrel, but it has the 5-inch slide that has the ports.
yeah,
It was just
the
like
365s.
it's like we are moving you to open. Enjoy
Mhm.
your iron-sided open gun.
Do
This is where you're going.
you
Yeah,
want
they-
to talk some more porting?
Sure.
So IDPA is now immediately allowing ported barrels and ported guns in enhanced service pistol.
Did Bill Wilson start making ported guns?
And the ESP rules flow down into bug, carry optics, and CCP. So ported pistols are allowed now in all those divisions.
What?
They
you
have
can't-
to be
What?
the compensators and muzzle devices must be incorporated into the firearm. They can't be an add-on.
Check
You know,
cleared.
it can't screw on.
So it's literally
So-
just SIG.
That's exactly what that is. Well, that's
Check cleared.
yeah, that's SIG or like Magna porting or whatever like that. Because you could do the custom. You could send it somewhere to have them do that.
So what divisions doesn't that affect in IDPA? Doesn't
Stock
affect
service
stock service pistol, CDP,
Revolver.
and the revolver. But guess what? Revolver
The
got
last
bumped to be
real
a
division.
specialty division. It's now a specialty division. It's required at tier 1 and it's optional for tiers 2 through 5 matches. So it's kind of revolver kind of got downgraded,
Wow.
kicked to the curb.
Well, I heard there was also a thing that came out where you can't use holsters that are specifically competition holsters.
Well, so there's some wording changes that it says the equipment must be practical for self-defense, suitable for all-day concealed wear and concealed carry and worn in a consistent fashion. Anyway, and it says that the match directors must enforce this. Well, what is suitable for all day? What's suitable to one guy
Right.
is not suitable
Yeah.
to another guy, and we all know how ugly that can be.
That's
So people are
IDPA
kind of
cannot-
laughing at that.
Yeah, IDPA can't go out of their own way. They'll come out with some really cool ideas because I mean, I think that SIG is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then they'll do dumb things. You're like, really? Did you guys not think about that at all?
Well, the one thing is like they're trying to like rein something in, and so they're like, listen, we're kind of seeing some stuff that kind of gear. We're not going to give you too many specifics, but match directors, you better put the hammer on this
Yeah.
shit. You understand me? You know what I'm saying? Mom, what groceries do you want to put away? Put away the damn groceries. Mom, the groceries are put away. Put away the damn groceries. And if I come home and those groceries aren't put away, you kids are getting smacked. And then so everything gets shoved into the pantry. We don't know what it
Yeah.
is. What is that, a speed cut?
So I expect that will result in a big nothing because
Yeah.
No.
Well, and the hard thing is, I mean, if you're the kind of person that like shoots IDPA, and you're also willing to travel to shoot an IDPA match, what's allowed in Utah may not be allowed in Idaho. I mean, how do
Oh.
you even do that on a
exactly.
major
Well, there's even
scale?
arguments like the vests, like the competition vests, are even arguably not allowed. You
Oh,
could
yeah,
argue both sides of
100%.
that, whether they're allowed or not.
Yep.
If someone's wearing, or maybe even not a competition vest, but just a vest and it has patches on it, shooting sport, is that allowed?
Well, that's what I love.
Well, it's like
We're trying to get rid of subjectivity in the sport. Also, no gamer stuff. Define gamer stuff. You know what we're talking about.
Yeah, come on.
well, it's
Seriously?
like, I mean, it's like that's the thing. It's like Andrew and I
It's
have
like
this long running
pornography,
joke
right?
that if I was ever going to run into like a bank and rob the place, if I go in there and there's some dude wearing a fishing vest, I am shooting his ass first before I even talk to the teller.
But here are two very minor but interesting things that IDPA did. They said in stock service pistol, you can no longer have a mag well that can be removed and reinstalled. And the base pads can no longer weigh more than 1 ounce,
What?
1 additional ounce. So they've taken away brass
Base pads.
base pads from ESP.
Huh.
And so they actually did take two very, very minor changes where they took back some allowances, which is like unheard of. Like, don't we just
can
give
you
people more?
How can you do that? How can you
Imagine
take away
the
the
crying.
allowances? I mean, people are going to quit.
What are you talking about? I mean, you guys had a really nice scoring system, and then they took that away.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting, maybe USPSA could try that. Like, just take something like minute, and just kind of go like, and
Goodbye,
that-
revolver.
and then like that's gone. You guys can't have this. Like some divisions are 58 ounces, just for fun, just to take away 2 ounces and just see how much of a revolt there is, and then like, all right, we'll go 3 more ounces next year.
I want to talk about just briefly. What are your feelings about allowing ported guns into 80% of IDPA?
So my feeling is on that. I like the idea that you could send it to a shop and have it being ported. The other part of so like it doesn't have to be factory ported. So if someone came up with an idea of like, hey, we got a way to we have a slide that you can buy, which is a Glock 19 barrel with a 17 slide that's factory ported, kind of like the SIG. Like that's fine. It's like that's the future. Like it's already been shown, so people are going to start doing it. And if people want to send their gun to Magna porting and have it Magna ported or whatever, like fine, cool, whatever. I don't think it's that big of an issue in IDPA as far as the actual shooting goes, because you shoot slow enough anyway. I don't think you actually need the damn comp. But so it's fine. The problem is like we're probably going to see the same rule in USPSA in 2 years.
I think it's
Nope.
dumb.
Nope. They're specifically disallowing that.
I'm with Jared. I think it's dumb. I think it's going to start a big equipment race. People are going to feel like they got to now all of CO. Anyone who wants to be a top dog in CO is going to feel pressure to get their gun.
It's a
ported.
9mm shooting 125 power factor. I mean, do you really need a comp?
I want to see.
Says-
Do you
Robert,
really need a 60-ounce gun?
Yes,
whether,
I
whether you
fucking
need
do.
it or not, you will feel pressure. You will
But
feel
that's the
pressure
point.
to do it.
I know, I understand that, but IDPA created a rule set, and they said this is how we're defining what a comped gun is, and the USPSA did the same thing, and you had a company that went and innovated, and they created a gun that narrowly skated right along the line of what you defined as legal.
Wait, what gun? Tell me.
The CZ, not CZ, excuse me, the SIG.
The P320, what do
The
they call it?
365
Spectre comps.
Spectre comp or whatever. Yeah, basically.
How does it skate the line? I mean, a gun's comped or it's not, right?
Well, that's kind of the interesting
The
thing,
barrel is not
USPS
compensated.
The barrel's not compensated.
And there's no add-on compensator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, and so they made a gun that narrowly skated the line of what that was, and so it essentially redefines. God dang it, I'm arguing Dave Bland's position. I hate it when I agree with that guy. But they created this gun that actually towed the line in terms of what the rules were, and then in the case of USPSA, they literally came up with the screw you SIG and your Spectre comp rule and redefined what a comped gun was based on how, because it's okay, well, we built a gun based on your rule set and now you're changing. Functionally, USPSA is no better than the ATF in this particular situation.
So on the Spectre comp, the barrel ends and then there's a piece out in front of the barrel that vents some of the gases upwards,
the
right?
slide, not a piece. It is the slide in front of the barrel. Mm-hmm. So the slide has the comp cuts cut in it, and it is just a slide.
Okay.
And
it moves with the main part of the slide.
Kind of crazy, right? It's cool design. I mean, from a technological standpoint, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I got to give them credit for it.
Imagine if you had a Glock 34 slide, and then you literally just cut out 2 chunks on the top, and then you put a Glock 19 barrel in it. So the barrel ends right here. So there's an inch of just empty space in the slide. And essentially what they're doing is they're using that slide as an expansion chamber and vertical compensator. But it's just weird because that doesn't fit any of the definitions.
And, well, it does fit definitions of allowing people who have lightning cuts in their slide or factory lightning cuts. So everyone else does the same cuts in their barrel and does all these different types of cuts in the barrel, except for the barrel's too long. And so SIG just we'll do the cuts, we'll make the barrel shorter, and it works.
Well, I guess it's just how much do you try and rein in technology, because we're going to play this game till the cows come home. I mean, what's going to happen is somebody's going to get to the highest point of their technology, and they'll be like, "I think a gun should be chambered in 40 Smith & Wesson and should have this sighting system on it and this trigger."
Kenny's crying because you're speaking to his heart.
I'm loving this whole thing right now.
Okay.
I mean, can't you just? You can just say, "Oh, you see that they did? That's not allowed." I mean, problem solved, right? Rather than screwing up the whole 4 divisions where people are going to now feel.
Well, hold on, because we had this argument last time that we have to let evolution take a pawn. We fucking figured this shit out. Everybody needs this now.
I agree.
I agree. Compensated pistols, 9mm, 60-ounce guns. Let's do
Preach
this.
It, Kenny.
There's no stopping this, Steve. Let it happen.
Kenny.
Let it happen.
Say, see that right there.
Just be cool with it.
If they're gonna let
everything with everything Kenny is saying right now. Thank you, Kenny, for preaching.
You didn't hear his sarcastic tone?
He was sarcastic?
Well, here's at least with IDPA, the way that they're doing is that they're just going okay, so instead of having the Spectre comp, which would be just this gun is the only gun that can do this, that's in there. They're saying, well, you can now send your gun off to get compensated if you want to get it compensated. So
question. Would that count for a factory compensated gun, let's say the Staccato XC?
I guess if it reads it, I don't see any.
It can't be an add-on part, even if it's factory. I mean, it must be integral to the gun. It can't be, even if it's factory, it can't be an add-on. No, even weld-on. It can't be weld-on, pin-on, screw-on.
What if it's from the factory?
Well,
it doesn't matter.
Then,
as far as I understand,
the Phoenix Trinity Honcho, that's a 1-piece barrel that has a compensator
porting
barrel, and that's just one chunk, so that is a factory part.
Phoenix, if it came from the factory, the barrel and the comp are all one piece. It's
right.
Yeah, well, you have something like the Shadow Systems DR920P,
Phoenix Trinity, Steve,
which can function without the comp, but the comp is part of it that finishes off the barrel. So I don't know. Listen, I'm gonna show up there and shoot a freaking Glock 34 in appendix. That's
and I
what
think
I care
you
about.
should do that.
I
And I think
And
the
you're gonna
firearm
lose.
industry. I don't think so. I don't think so.
'Cause
I don't
he's
think.
not competition.
I don't. Yeah, but he's also not a thief. So there you go. Moving on.
Anyways,
I mean, honestly, I mean, why do we want to limit technology? That's my biggest question.
I
At
have
the end
no
of the day,
problem with
why you-
limited technology. We just have a division for that. It's called open.
Everybody wants to limit technology. They get to the highest peak of what they think is acceptable, and then by gosh, you better not make any changes.
That's right. It's the gospel according to Robert or Steve or Tom or Kenny or Jared. And by God, that is the one true gospel.
That is the one true gospel.
Well, we could have a PARAcast gospel.
Rotten hell.
we could have a PARAcast gospel if all you guys would listen to me. But we can't do it.
Nobody wants to do that. So let's all shoot open. We each have one division.
I'm down.
You know what?
You can create whatever you want. We're all shooting open.
You know
Do
what?
whatever you want.
We literally have the ring of power in Robert in this practice score at Slipsa. Robert, press the button, and then we have like a black robe candle ceremony where we walk the iPad to him, and he presses the button, and everyone's in open, and we're like, "Ha, we are."
Well, and he has the direct
Open
connection to
minor.
Eve Min Lin,
Let's
so
go.
it's almost like we're the Holy Ghost here.
Correct.
Oh, exactly.
Like we have the power for absolute tyranny, or at least a mildly successful conspiracy.
Yeah, people are saying cast the ring into the fire, and I'm like, no.
No, it's mine.
I'm going to say that Phoenix Trinity's IDPA legal. I don't know. I'm just saying that.
I think everyone should find the next nearest level 2 match and bring your compensated pistol to it and see how many of you guys get thrown out. And then
I would
know
have to say
exactly what
that-
the line is.
I would have to say that muzzle device is incorporated into the firearm.
So
It's not an add-on.
I wonder if you take.
I saw the Spectre comp. It's cool. It's a really cool idea, and
Really
it was
ugly.
built. It's a cool idea.
It looks broken. When it's in
So
recoil and the slides
Spectre
back, you're like,
comp.
"This is broken. That gun
but
broke."
for a small gun, they built something that was designed like specifically for a purpose. It was almost like somebody took a 2011 and specifically built it for a division. But they specifically built it for a purpose, and then USPSA came in and says, "Well, no, we're going to change the rules on you."
Yeah. Well, they saw.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of funny how that
They
goes.
saw the 50 grand check go to IDPA. E-Man ain't gonna take 25.
No,
we need that
He's got
50 grand check.
standards.
We've got more membership. We need 75.
I mean
grand
he
at
needs all the bullets he can get after that federal deal fell through.
Oh my gosh, we need everything. Anyways, Robert, do you have anything non-match yesterday related?
Non-match related yesterday.
Like herpes or
Kenny, you said you wouldn't talk about that. Well, I started taking my trigger group apart for the MP5.
Oh Lord,
Why?
leave my dogs alone. They're not part of this.
Why are you taking your trigger group apart?
Because I found a YouTube video that showed me how to do it, and now I wanted to.
That's not a good reason to
science.
disassemble a trigger group.
Every great story has started that way.
No, I just I honestly no, I'm kind of curious how the thing all goes together. I mean, I think I told you this once, but the reason that I actually got into guns like forever ago is not because of the shooting. It's because I like taking guns apart. I've always liked just how a gun works and the mechanics of the gun, and half the fun.
I
of a
would-
gun is
I
taking
would-
the thing apart.
I would
just like that stuff.
strongly disagree. You like to see how a gun works because for 4 or 5 years you couldn't get any of them to do it.
No, the gun worked fine. It was the thumb. See, I could take the gun apart just fine. I couldn't cut off the thumb. It was the thumb that was the damn problem.
Pitch
I like
black
to take them
thumb.
apart
What's
just so
happening?
that I can fix them.
So that's good.
But-
So you're gonna go polish that thing up. The trigger's like not bad on it.
It's
I
not
shot
terrible.
it
It's just
yesterday.
not-
It's fine. Everyone's so suppressed or sensitive. I put some 115s through it. I wasn't even wearing ear pro, and they're like, "God, that's loud. That's
That's
loud."
the other thing about having IDPA become a comped sport is it's going to be loud as hell now.
Indoor nationals, no thank you.
Boom, boom. Oh, the worst was like Thursday. We had our indoor match, and like half of squad 1, probably more than half, was all shooting open guns. I came home, my freaking ears were just ringing.
It was amazing.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun to watch, but
remember back in the day with the fluorescent lights and all the glass would be coming out of the ceiling when the first open shooter comes to the
falling
line.
out of the sky.
Asbestos. Fiberglass chunks.
oh yeah, that still happens. Still happens.
KT? Nothing. KT's got nothing.
I went and froze my ass off to clean the cabin today.
That's good. We saw the temperature, -8.
Whoa.
Officially not warm.
Yeah, there's so much snow. We had to park at Highway 40 and hike into the cabin. We couldn't get to the cabin.
Whoa.
No.
Yeah, there's a crazy murder podcast about a murder in a cabin. Anyway, Step, anything?
All I have is the UPOA match is coming up, and the Not a Cop match is coming up.
That's right. Sign up. How do they search it on Practice Score?
So if they look up Not a Cop on Practice Score, you'll be able to find it there. We have about 30-40 people signed up already. 12 stages, $75, 1 day. You get.
What's the day?
We'll have
What
a
date?
prize table. We'll have awards. It'll be April 21st, I believe.
And is this the match also if you don't like aiming to shoot, right? Is it the...
Yeah.
No, that's Carry Optics Nationals. Remember?
April 22nd. It's
so
April
much
22nd,
South.
but it's going to be the same match as the cop shoot. And yes, Kenny is absolutely right. It is the match where it's 3-gun scoring.
This is a one on
the
brown?
alpha or 2
Anywhere.
on paper.
What? 2? How about
Or one
anywhere?
alpha, Steve. One alpha, Steve. You can do that.
That's
You can save money.
From at least
You're all about that.
From at least trying this experiment last time, 1 in alpha is very slow compared to just hosing 2 on paper. Because we were like, oh, shoot, this one, that one, that one, that one, God, that.
I don't know. If you do the math, just sling one at it, and you got 30% chance you're getting an A.
Probably. We should just do it.
The worst case scenario is it's a FTN, which is 2 seconds, so you're fine.
I am surprised that.
Is there still the General Shaming Award?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'll show
20
up.
seconds.
as voted by the squad.
Oh, no. It's one of the penalties that will be in the pad. It's general shaming plus 3 seconds. It just depends on what happens, and it's the general procedural is a 3-second penalty, and so I put general shaming just because. For instance, a couple times we used it. The last match was one poor gentleman was he went about, what was it, Tom? 185.
That would be not as generous as probably what reality would
270.
It was just shy of pointing at the whole squad.
There was a 2 at the first number was definitely a 2.
Yeah,
Maybe 207,
fortunately,
210.
2 of the squad were sitting down in a chair, so they didn't get the gun pointed at them.
He went right over their heads.
Yeah. So that guy, I think we gave him what like 4 general
Four
shamings
general
instead of
shamings.
DQing him.
You get 1 for
And
every
he
person you
accepted.
muzzle.
You could take 40 years off my life. He gets 3 seconds added to his score. Yeah. So
I had somebody. I was at the armory right before the match on Thursday, and I was behind the counter, and the lady brings out. We make them carry all the guns in a little bin. So when you come out of the range, you have to have the guns. The gun is supposed to be unloaded, but she brings the gun out, puts it on the table. Oh, here you go. I'm done. I'm like, cool. I go grab the magazine, go to rack it back like I always do to check it, and there comes the 9mm. I'm like, well, shit.
Finders keepers.
Yeah, like at least it wasn't a SIG.
Do you remember going back in the day when you went to the gun show and they have that huge bucket that like used to have cheese balls in it, and the guy's like, these are all the rounds that have come out of the chamber. When people go into the gun show, he's got like 75 pounds of ammo in his cheese ball container.
Oh, jeez.
Well, there's nothing like someone like taking an aim down an alleyway while he's trying to buy somebody's 30-06 and just let one rip, indoors. Anyway, so me and Robert went out there and shot the USPSA match. I shot with Dan Ward and Blake Chorus, and I shot from concealment with my Glock 34. And so we went out shooting with Step, and I was just like, you know what? I don't I don't like how slow I am out of appendix, so I'm gonna keep using appendix till I become pretty damn fast at it. And so my goal is to be able to hang 2 non-scoring hits on paper at 7 yards in under a second. So if I get 2 deltas, that counts. If I get 2 that are just barely over the head but are touching the paper, 2 non-scoring hit, that also counts. So that's my goal for the year, and so no race gear until then. So anyways,
so cop scoring.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The other part is too that always has surprised me with 3 gunners.
I shot with Colby. I know how this goes.
3 gunners have always done the 2 on brown or 1 in alpha, but they've yet to make themselves feel even better about themselves by just expanding the size of the alpha zone. Good on them for having the self-discipline not to do that. So anyway, we went out there and did this, and we had like 4 new shooters on our squad, and we had like malfunctions. We had a guy who couldn't get his Tanfo 40 to run. We had a kid who couldn't get his CZ Shadow 2 to run for the life of him. Literally like 3 rounds mouth, 5 rounds.
Was
mouth.
his name Robert?
No, it was Young.
Oh.
Yeah, Young had a rough go on. But
he's been struggling with that Shadow for a long time. Blake actually ended up taking it home with him. Where I think it might actually be. I'm not sure who did the slide, but somebody did all a bunch of fancy cuts and stuff on the slide, like maybe it was like Fire for Effect or something like that. I shouldn't throw them under the bus or something because I don't know, but we think the slide might be jacked up because
it seems to have a problem feeding the rounds. So the rounds don't even sometimes have the opportunity to bounce out of the chamber or not seat correctly into the chamber because they don't even make it up there. So there's something weird going on with that gun. That gun is broken.
Has new magazines or what?
No, it's a standard Shadow. It's a standard Shadow 2. This has occurred with my magazines, with his magazines. Where it doesn't occur is if he puts my slide on it. Well, one of my slides. The other slide it's more fit to that gun. But when he puts
the 30 slides you have,
dude, I don't have 30. Okay, I have 6.
29.
6. I only have 6.
Yeah.
Has a competent shooter shot it? Make sure it's not something he is doing.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Oh, you said competent.
Yeah.
We had another guy who we literally had the talk, like the 20-minute talk, because we had so many new shooters about finger off and on the trigger, 180, and we were pretty generous with a lot of that stuff. I mean, 182 was touched a lot of the times, but the last stage we shot was a retreat stage, and so I was pretty.
Was that stage 1?
Stage 1, and we had an older gentleman, and I was ROing. And he saw everyone kind of like run backwards to the right. And so they had their gun canted across their body and they were running kind of like sideways back to that back corner. And he decided to keep his gun canted like he was supposed to, but then decided to square his chase squarely uprange. And so he was hovering on like 187, 190 as he's hard. I was like, stop. And then he kind of kept going and I said, stop. He goes, am I DQ'd? And like he's already kind of moving the muzzle around.
God damn.
He's got the gun out at you.
And so then he's like, well, am I? So I was like, am I DQ'd? And he's like moving the gun up and down. And then he's like, it's like unload and show clear. And so he's taking the magazine out. And then he like racks a bullet.
Torches went off into his feet. No.
And tries to like go down and pick something up while he has the gun in his hand. And like, I do not feel sorry for DQing the man, but I lost my temper and I pulled out my inner mass of you and was like, God damn it. Keep the muzzle on the berm. Like, watch the muzzle. Put the shit down. Holster. Okay. You've been DQ'd for breaking the 180. He's like, I don't remember seeing myself break the 180. And his son was like, I didn't see him break the 180. And then, like, Dan didn't see it.
Half the squad is hiding behind the berm because he flagged them all.
I go get Dave and I go explain it. And then I show him how he did it. And he was like, oh, well, that makes sense. But, like, I still feel bad for, like, losing my temper. But, man, like, I am losing my edge. Like, I don't feel like I'm an invulnerable fighter pilot anymore. Like, I'll never get shot down. Like, I'm going to get shot. And it's going to be, like, by one of these people. And so, like, the muzzle was going everywhere. And he's, like, 60 years old. And I just, like, I try not to do it. But, like, I just, like, swore. I was like, dude, fucking pay attention. Keep the gun there. Unload it. Put it in the holster. Don't try to pick stuff up. Don't try to have 17 things in your hand. Please, Let's move on. And so
stop means stop. It doesn't mean let's talk about it.
Yeah, and he's
It means stop.
And of course, you know, it was like, oh, I didn't think I broke the 180. He was also doing like a temple index while he was on one stage with Dan ROing, and he did this, and then me and Blake were like, and Dan was like, so like, here's how you do. This is what you should do, like that, and because Dan settled everything down, and Dan was pretty good about it. But Dan, even though he didn't see it, and everyone else was like, when I was like, did he do that? Did I really? Like, he broke it bad, right? And they're like, yeah, like they ever. It's like when the cop asked the kid, "Hey, did your mom's boyfriend hit her?" And they go like that. But they
you see it in the eyes.
Yeah, when their eyes are this big, you like that was way past the 180.
And Dan was very kind. He said to me, "Tom, everyone knows you would not DQ someone for no reason. Like, you're a good man. You did. Shut up,
Yeah,
Step.
that's debatable.
Shut up. Well, who's winning?
Is it the
You
good
guys
or the man
fine.
part that's debatable?
Well, either one. So anyway, I shot from concealment. I only had one magazine pouch on me, and it was so effing cold. I could not tell when I drew if I was lifting up my T-shirt or not.
Oh my gosh!
It sucked.
And so
it sucked so bad. It was the worst ever.
I literally have one reload stuffed in there, and then I grab it like this, and I try to shove it in the gun, and I'm like, that no good, Thomas. And so then I'm trying to fish it out, and then it kicks, and then I kick it, and guess what? The other magazine is in my pocket, which is blocked by my magazine pouch, which is outside of the waistband, so I can't put my hand in my pocket. And so then I have to go like with a dog, with a cat with its dog with its tail between its legs. I'm just like, I go pick it up and then have to go. And then the other part is too, is I also threw in a just standard Karen tactical magazine, pointed at something, had the magazine just fall on the deck, and then I went click, and I'm like, oh. So
What?
I had to go.
Did you not seat it or what?
It was 24. Listen, my reloads now are PMags. You know why they're PMags? Because they have enough little bounce in them so I can seat them all the time, and I can't put an extra round in them that I can't seat. And so I stuffed it in.
Okay.
It just bounced out. It like clicked.
You had a super full mag, and it didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't stay.
It was like it like clicked, and then it was
Like
just like
25 rounds.
24, and so
That's how many I get.
How are you getting 24 and a 140?
I don't. It's like 23 or whatever, but it's super tight, and it just bounced
Because
out and
it's
left
CZ.
it. Just
Shut up, Robert.
done with
We're
it.
talking about real guns here, not.
Yeah, so am I.
Oh.
You and your plastic fantastic.
But it was, we only had the one DQ, and it was fine. But it was really there was a lot of malfunction clearancing with what looked like people's fingers on 2-pound triggers, and so it was just,
Hey, Tom.
yeah.
Remember last time I went and shot a cold match with you?
Which one? What
The
match?
IDPA one when the dude AD'd and then we got a gun point right at somebody else.
Pointed
and they're
up
like,
range?
oh, that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah. Yeah. Like we will die doing this. We will die doing this. I'm pretty sure I've already said it. Like my casket will have me smiling with a closed mouth because they do not want to show the impact wound of my teeth shattered from the bullet going through my head when I was saying literally the word stop. And then
If I make it to your funeral, Tom, I will put a handful of ammo in your casket too.
make sure that it's quality ammo, and then give me the drink, the one shot.
No,
I
there'll
promised
be
you I would
range
take.
pickups.
Give me the
Be
little
range pickups.
give me the little traveler. Robert, your match.
Steve's gonna reach into your casket and take the HSTs and gold .TCs out.
I'm gonna take that 21
can
round
see that
magazine out of your
happening.
holster.
He won't be needing this no more.
He'll do like pick up my dead hand with both of his hands like this while he's like, I'll miss you, buddy. And then when he puts my arm down, there's no more G-Shock on my wrist. You know,
Yes.
I'll miss you, buddy.
Yes.
He'll be
Miss
checking your waistband, seeing if you got an appendix rig on.
What's
That's right.
what's going on here? What's going on here?
I'll miss you, Tom. Ooh.
Tie
Like a
clip.
lock.
You
Oh,
won't need
man,
it. He doesn't.
ain't
need a
nobody
tie-
getting buried with that Glock 34.
He puts in like he's like, I'm trading him for a Swiss Army knife. Here's a Swiss Army knife.
I have
Fight you
a
out.
blue Glock you can get buried with.
I
Fair trade.
so I got there and I had to get everything set up and get all the stuff turned on, but it was cold. After the match, I posted between me and Tom and Kenny, I was like this effing sucks. I mean, it was really cold. Kenny comes back, he's like, was it really cold or was it Robert's being a bitch cold?
Yeah, because like 34 degrees is cold to Robert.
dude, under 60 is cold to me. But Tommy, like, thankfully comes back. You're like, no, it was mother effing cold. It sucked.
I deliver in a canyon every morning. I know what cold is. Like, this was like, it was like, it was like literally, it was like getting out of the jacuzzi and then jumping into like an ice bath, because like the sun would come up. You're like, oh my gosh, radiation. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Kiss me, more radiation.
Give me
And then
that vitamin D on my face.
And then it was overcast, wind.
And the wind.
And then, like, so you'd be on deck, and you'd be like, okay, on deck time. And even Blake had a portable propane heater. And, like, it'd be like, okay, hands on the heater. And then by the time you go through, like okay, like, IDPA warm-up, like, I'm ready. And then your hands would just be absolutely frozen.
Oh, yeah. Like, when I was the shooter, I'm like completely bundled up. I've got my hands stuffed in my pocket. They're like, make ready. And I, like, quickly as I can, I throw all my stuff off, get on the deck, load the gun up, and I'm like, let's fucking go now. It was so awful. I mean, it's like we shot that match, forever ago on New Year's Day, and it was minus 23. It was not even remotely that bad. I don't know what it was, if it's like humidity or something.
No, it's the sunshine. It could be 0 degrees, and if it's
Yeah.
sunny, it makes it feel like 15 degrees warmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have just even a 5-mile-an-hour wind, it just is brutal.
Well,
Yeah.
And we had this frozen ground that we were just on all day. So it was just like rock hard, and then it would, like, some parts were like soupy, just enough to get your feet wet enough just to be like, haha, we got you again, human. And so, like, it was not pleasant.
It was very, very suboptimal. The first stage I shot, you don't want to use brass grips when it's that cold. It just sucks horrible.
Oh,
I go and I grab and I'm trying to pull through that double action while I'm still trying to fix the grip, because I can't grip the gun because my hands are so freaking cold. And the very first shot of the match goes right into a no-shoot.
that's one thing.
Oh. It's just like
Well, that didn't start out well.
It's just, but it's okay. It's okay, because I go through and I shoot the stage, and I get to this next position. This was in the hotel, and I shoot this target, and there's a hole there already. And I'm like, sweet, I get a reshoot out of this. As I go through, finish the stage, and the RO, he's like, he goes and he tries to score it, and I'm like, there was a hole there already. And he's like, well, that's okay. I'll just give you 2 off. I'm like, is that what I shot? He's like, well, and I'm like, if you can't determine what I shot, and then I'm like, no, I can't do that. That's bullshit. Okay, I shot that. I'll take the no shoot, because, like, in my head, I'm like, I really want that reshoot, because I didn't want that no shoot. But at the same time, I'm like, I have to go home and live with myself over this.
You're saying the RO didn't see you pop the no shoot?
No. They saw me hit the no shoot, but they didn't.
Okay.
They didn't see the 2 shots and then the additional shot that somebody hadn't pasted.
I saw someone shoot the no shoot and then realize it, and then quickly try to make up the Alpha Mike no shoot with another no shoot, and then try to make it up
It's the
again.
best thing.
Got it.
Yeah.
The
I saw
best is
that.
when they're shooting an open gun or a PCC, and they're like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh double fuck, and they just keep like rain 4 into the no shoot.
The offset.
Robert, have you seen that heater that Clay made to go into a gun sleeve?
No.
You need that for your brass grip guns. It's a
Okay.
heater that goes in his gun sleeve, so when he's done shooting, he drops his gun in there because he shoots all metal grips.
You know,
Yeah.
You know what keeps your gun pretty warm is when it's under your t-shirt, under a jacket, up against your body. You know who had
When
no
it's
problems?
When it's touching your reproductive organs.
Oh man, it was warm. I grabbed it. It was fantastic.
Wait, what are we
The
talking
reproductive
about now?
organ?
And
or
then
the
you,
gun?
then you shoot your 30 rounds. You shoot your 30 rounds of 140 power factor 9mm, and you put it
104
back
power
in.
factor. That
You're
sounds
like,
about
oh.
right, Tommy.
Yeah, Robert was correct there.
Nice.
104.
Listen,
My man.
hold on. We have documented lowest power factor here, and listen,
Did you beat Jared's 800 feet per second?
Listen,
I can throw it faster than
Listen.
Jared's ammo.
I think those ones were 147. That's what I'm just gonna go with. I'm gonna go with those were 147s.
That still doesn't make it. Like, what kind of excuse is that? I didn't
Closer.
kill. I
Hey,
didn't
that's
kill.
117 at least. I mean,
I-
at least
Oh,
117.
I didn't
Oh, that
kill
they were,
that
160.
hooker. I killed the
Yes,
other
They were
one.
160s.
All right. Anyways, Dominate Defense, best belts in the industry. Check them out. Dominate Defense. Literally, for appendix, it's so great because I can just rotate it in either position. Their carry belt, and just have literally a clean front to hook up anything with whatever attachments. Check them out. It is the best belt in the industry. You won't regret it. DominateDefense.com. Use promo code PARA10 and Precision Holsters. Fantastic holster, magazine pouch. Check them out. And Room Tactical, the best. One extra round. And with the stage designers we have, where every stage is above 24 rounds.
Well, you notice that the people who are designing these stages, they're all doing it so that they don't have to reload. Looking at you, Zach, but everybody else does, and they're like, "Oh, look at us! We're number one. We're so great." Yeah, that helps when you don't have to reload.
You mean they're all 28 rounds? Makes perfect.
Oh, it's totally legit.
Yeah, check out.
I was going through and I'm counting some of these stages, and I'm like, wait a damn minute there.
Yeah, and I will still use the Room Tactical magazines because as an administrative load gun, like I had that thing topped off with 24 rounds every time, round in the chamber, ran like a top all day long, and so it's a fantastic product to sit there and use.
I love that. I love those things. I can actually reload my 24 now, which is awesome because now instead of starting with 24 and then reloading to a 23, I can reload every single one of them.
You've been doing pull-ups or what?
They just work themselves in.
Thumb pull-ups.
So they seat.
You took the shirt off the magazine and now it works.
Yeah, I surprised. Oh man, that was like it was the second stage, so it was stage 1 for us, and I had to do a reload, and I could not feel my freaking fingers, and I could actually see myself just trying to get that thumb into position to actually hit the stupid mag release button, and finally. So I did it, and finally, it's on video. But I actually pushed the button with my my support hand just to get the stupid thing to drop. It sucked.
I was loading all the magazines, and I'm loading like the Terran and the Room Tactical one, and I'm just like, what's wrong with me? I can't do that. And then Young had his upload was like, please, sir, may I see that?
You were trying to load magazines with your thumbs?
That freaking hurt, dude.
Oh my
God. It was hurt.
In those kind of temperatures, that's brutal.
Wow.
No, it was sucked.
If you want brutal things, head on over to Telegram and you can join our chat and you can ask us questions. We'll try to answer. Go ahead, Robert, go.
From Andy Erickson, how many people show up to your winter matches, and at what point do they get called off?
80. We had 80 people there, I think.
Yeah, the week before we had 90.
Yeah, Slips doesn't really cancel matches. Some of the other clubs do.
Yeah, it has to be really bad. I mean, I would have thought last week when the range all flooded that we maybe could have. But it got drained out enough that we were still able to do it.
People sign up, we're shooting.
I mean, the only time we literally canceled a match, I think, was 2 years ago, and it was a snowstorm. Well, we had that snowstorm.
Oh, we had that dead body at Utah State.
Oh, but we still shot.
We still shot eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as they carted that thing off, we were good to go.
It's West Valley. We're shooting no matter what.
Oh yeah.
There's a gunfight no matter what happens in West Valley.
Andy, I don't know how you guys do it because you're in like Minnesota, and at a certain point, like the snow. I mean, how do you actually put your walls down with all the snow there? I mean, I assume you're going to come through with like a snowblower and kind of carve it out or something. But I don't know how those guys in those cold climates do it.
Did any of you guys shoot Slipso when it was still up at PMA?
No, I wasn't in then.
I didn't.
Yeah. You just stuck the walls in the snow and then shoveled the shooting area.
Oh.
Yeah. It was easy.
Okay.
Frozen snowball held the walls up.
Yeah, I never would have thought of that.
I think
the biggest
Utah's winters are not nearly as
logistical.
Yeah, Utah's winters are not nearly as brutal as like Minnesota.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't really get below 0 very often, so we can do it.
Yeah, my friend's sister is serving she's serving an LDS mission there, and they said it was like minus 10, but like minus 30 with the wind chill or something like there. That just sounds just awful.
And they have enough to have 3 major sports franchises there, so more people live there than live here. What does that say? What's going on? What's going on in the world?
They do have the Vikings. Go Vikings. Not this year because it's kind of been rough. So
let's go Niners. For all you football lovers. Let's do it.
Well, I have grown up liking the Vikings and anybody who plays the Raiders.
And I like the next Telegram question.
What's the dumbest thing you've seen come out of SHOT Show this year?
Go ahead, everyone. Go ahead with your answers. I have one that I despise.
The ATF. I'm going to say the ATF was the dumbest thing that came out of SHOT Show this year.
You know
Did they have a booth?
Oh, they have a booth. Hey, okay, you know what? All seriousness,
I think last time I went there,
I actually have like mad respect for those ATF agents because they're there to actually help, because that's an industry event, right?
Yep.
So they're there to actually answer questions for manufacturers and people like that, and it serves a legitimate purpose. Now, I hate the government. That's obvious. That's an obvious thing. But I have a lot of respect for those guys who actually have to man that booth and deal with all the people that come and are like, you guys effing kill dogs.
Well, the other part too is like there were so many new rifles and stuff like that. Like IWY had their Carmel rifle that they brought out, and they were like, "Well, we're not even going to show like the 10, 11-inch version of this gun with the stabilizing brace because we don't know what the rules are. We don't know."
Well, and that's the
everyone's
funny
kind of
thing is if
floating
you,
around. They don't know what the rules are, so there's so many products that they could have put out there that they're not willing to put out there yet.
Yeah, GOA. It was a GOA. It was one of the groups. They put out this thing like buried in that new rule is that if you had a stabilizing brace on an imported gun and removing that, it basically makes it so it doesn't comply with N22R or something. And now the
brace counted as a part.
It counted as a part. And now basically your only option according to the ATF is to destroy it or turn it into them. It's like no.
Yeah, it's this thing's got to get shut down. But the funny thing is so like these people, they might have a few of these things manufactured, and they go to SHOT Show, so that dealers can go up to them and go like, "We would like to have. I want to buy 50 or 100 of those or 500 of those, and get them to my shop." And so like that's how those manufacturers know how many of these things am I going to sit there and put out there and manufacture. And so like there's going to be a lot of products that are going to be just put off on delay because just they're not going to devote any of the manufacturing capacity to making those things.
Actually, did you see Palmetto State? This is definitely not the dumbest thing. The Sturmgewehr 44 that they're going to do.
Palmetto State Armory is my favorite booth of the year.
STG-44.
So the old German Army STG-44, they are making that, and they're making it in 8mm Mauser, the Kurtz. They're making it in 7.62 by 39. They're making it in 5.56.
No way.
So
I am so getting one of those.
So if they actually make it.
I know. But I mean, they did that with the MP5, but they say they're going to do it. And unless we have another COVID, and don't any of you people root for that, by all accounts, they should make it. And that would be pretty dang awesome.
We've had like 8 COVIDs.
So it's just the flu. What do you expect?
But they have it. So they modernized the twist rate, but it is all 100% stamped metal, folded over, just like the original Sturmgewehr. So it's basically, but they have like modernized thread pitching so you can put it on, but the action and everything is the same. So like a 5.56 Sturmgewehr, because even if you buy one, an STG-44, you're never going to shoot it because it's $100,000 weapon at this point. Mm-hmm. And so now you can go get one, and you go get one in 7.62 or 5.56. Like,
well, that's the question, Tommy. What would you get? Would you get the 5.56?
5.56. 5.56. You could shoot it. You could pick up brass for. You could throw magazines in it. I mean, you could do a lot of stuff with that little thing, and it would be super cool.
There's that part of me that kind of wants it in the 7.62 by 39 because that's close to the 8mm Kurtz, but 5.56, that'd be awesome.
Practical.
Yeah.
If you want to shoot it.
Yeah, you'd have fun with it.
You could relive all your Nazi fantasies.
I know. I've got the uniform. I mean, no.
You and Kanye out of the range.
Kanye buys the entire run. Where'd all these go? The other thing that's cool that PSA was doing, which I absolutely loved, was the M16A1s. So they're building Car 15s and M16A1s. The M16A1 design, and that is like pretty awesome. Their Jackal line, they're expanding their Jackal line, and
the Jackal line's amazing.
And their Glock Dagger line. So their Glock Dagger line, they're bringing out a full size, and now they're bringing out a Glock chassis system, so that you can literally take it out like a P320, and they're making aluminum and possibly steel frames for that chassis line. So you're gonna have
if they can swap that mag release, it'd be everything.
Yeah, so you're gonna have a steel or alloy frame, aluminum alloy Glock frame, and the frame is interchangeable with the top. So it is possible that you could order one of these chassis, the trigger mechanism, and the alloy frame, and then put it on your Glock Gen 3 that you have at home. And
Who's making this?
Palmetto State.
Oh, wow.
Palmetto State Armory. And so, and like the other part is like all these things, the most expensive thing is that Stormgewehr, and that's going to be somewhere around $2,000. All these other ones are going to be pretty cheap. And that aluminum frame dagger is probably going to be retailing for under $700. So it's just like Palmetto State's killing it. Palmetto State is just killing it. The other things that were pretty interesting, well, sorry, least favorite item, the Beretta 80X Cheetah.
That's the 380?
Yeah, the 380. The 380 gigantic 13-round 380 blowback action. It is 2023.
Jared looks like he already has one on order.
It's like what do we put now? What is this? Leading arms manufacturer? You got a Micro 9? It's like, no. What we did is we put a rail on a direct blowback action, and from all I understand, the new Cheetah, it's blowback, but it's the size of a Glock 19. It holds 13 rounds of 380.
Tom, it's marketed for women.
No,
we can see the attraction.
This is marketed to tacticals. Like I hear people that were at the shooting day, range day out there, and like it shoots so soft. Well, why the f wouldn't it? It's a full size 380. Why the f wouldn't it shoot soft?
It's 85 power factor.
It's like, come on. Hollow Sun. So we have questions about this, so we might as well hit it then.
Let's see. So now that you guys are at least some of you are in love with PCC, would you stop complaining about it now? No.
Who's in love with this? Son? Quit being friends with them.
I like PCC.
Kenny unfollowed the chat.
Kenny has to be on PARAcast Plus because he can't be in the same chat with Robert. Yeah, you can find all Kenny's takes of the questions on PARAcast Plus.
All I'm saying is that when that MP5 comes out, everybody's like, because it's pretty freaking cool.
It's fine, Robert. You can shoot that in open with the rest of us in our one division.
Okay, I'm down with that.
No, that MP5 was pretty fun to shoot. It is so soft, and the other thing that you don't realize is with that thin handguard is how small it is. I mean, it is a really small and compact little rifle, and so it is pretty neat. It is. It's a good time.
I love that gun.
Did you get the full MP5 or did you get the MP5K?
It's the full.
Okay.
Yeah, full size 1-pin.
Yeah, the 10-inch barrel, whatever. Let's see what else. From Tyler, what are the differences in the West Coast major matches you shoot versus the East Coast matches that you fly out and shoot? Flavor, culture, difficulty, etc.
Robert?
Well, this is super anecdotal, so you have to kind of take it with a bit of a grain of salt. But in the West, I noticed that our targets are more difficult. We use a lot more hardcover and no shoots than a lot of the matches that I see in the East. That's not to say that the East doesn't have challenging stages. Keanu with Area 8 he's notorious for putting on really challenging matches that are extremely fun. But I have shot when we shot the South Carolina or the Carolina Classic last year, and then Georgia State's match where they both had staff reset. The stages seemed easier, and I kind of had this question in my mind, and I've never really been able to ask anybody about it. But it's like, did they do that because that helped with the match flow? Because I mean, you start adding complexity, then it makes it a little bit more challenging. And I don't know if that's true, but I absolutely, my favorite matches that I've ever shot were Carolina and that Georgia match, because they got you through really, really fast. It was extremely well run. It seems to me that in the East, they have a lot greater pool of people to gather from, whereas a lot of the matches out here in the West, we're so kind of like spread out that we don't really have that. And so in some cases, you're a little bit hard pressed to get staff to shoot it. But as far as the flavor of it, I think they're pretty similar, other than the staff reset, which is still amazing. It's absolutely amazing. If we could make that happen, I think that'd be pretty fun. I know it doesn't always work, but I I kind of like them both.
Awesome.
Let's see. From Eric Sayo, I'm interested to see what that Holosun 507 comp ends up being like. If it's too big, maybe. Multiple reticle is different on that one. 2 MOA dot 820 32 MOA ring. Supposedly you can do a combination of all of those somehow.
Yeah, so basically you have an RMR footprint. Here's a Holosun 507 I have in my hands, but it's a Holosun 507 on the base, and it is a gigantic window. Now, they do a comparison on one of the channels I saw where it has it kind of held up, and it's just like, look how much bigger the 507 competition is. But when you hold it up next to the Delta Point or the SRO, you're probably going to see that same sort of size. The other part about the Holosuns is they look like they have a bigger window than they actually do. And so when you have the much larger one, the viewable window is probably still maybe not going to be as good as the Seymour or as the SRO. But the changing of the dots. So Holosun lets you, they have great emitters, and they let you circle between the dots. And so this one has a 2 MOA dot, and then you can expand the rings around the dot. And so people are saying it's a 2 MOA dot, so I don't like it. But if you have a 2 MOA dot and then put an 8 MOA ring around it, you were essentially aiming with an 8 MOA ring.
It's just a non-starter for me. If it doesn't have at least 5 MOA, then I'm not even going to look at it. I'll look at it maybe to put on my MP5. I think there's some good value to it, but where all the good excuse me, where it seems like all the good dots these days for pistols are coming in at 5 MOA. I just don't see why Holosun's not going that direction.
The one thing I will say about the Holosun is the 2 MOA dot, like, I don't know, when I'm shooting it, I don't feel like it's like, oh my god, what's happening to me? I can't live. It's too small. But when you have the circle dot in the ring, I do find myself trying to figure out what the image is behind the circle dot. So I just generally just try to leave the dot. Dot covers what I'm shooting, therefore that's what I want. But I would say for people who are more used to irons, the kind of smaller dot tends to kind of work out, kind of seems to be a little bit better.
Which is weird because a fiber optic is like what, 75 MOA or some crazy thing by comparison. It's huge.
But so you're focusing on something that's perceivably very small in the front sight as you're watching. So like we're all shooting iron sights, like we're watching this thin fiber kind of bounce in there. And so people who are like an iron sights, you give them the small dot and they're like, oh, this makes more sense instead of like the orb. Like I just remember shooting poppers at like 20 yards yesterday, Robert, right? We had some far mini poppers and stuff like that. And I was just like, orb on popper, bam, popper go down. But people want to see more of the popper. And so you can have that. And so Holosun, the one thing about Holosun, which is kind of crazy, is like they like these emitters because these emitters don't use that much power, and they're also trying to run solar on all these things. So I think they're very...
What the hell is that about? I mean, how often do you have a gun outside getting sunshine on it? That just seems stupid.
So they have a line of...
It's a little gimmicky.
Well, on some things, but the technology is still pretty good there because they have their SCS line. And their SCS line is about this size dot, except for it mounts directly to the footprint of your gun manufacturer. So they have one that mounts directly to a MOS plate. So you can use your stock Glock sights, and they have one that mounts to HKs and M&Ps. And these do not have any external batteries. And they run off of a solar panel in the back. And the solar panel can charge it for up to 20,000 hours of battery life. So they can charge it for,
So once a year, you go put it out in your backyard for half a day.
It'll pick it up. But the other part is that the emitter, they're so low power on the emitter that it can actually charge from the solar panel faster than it can emit and discharge the battery. So they have a system that works for them because they're always incorporating a solar panel on top of their thing. So that's why I doubt you'll ever see them go into something that is as big of as emitter as a 6 MOA, 8 MOA, or whatever. So they're just they'll give you these little tiny reticles and these little circle reticles that they can project because that works with their technology and their whole thing that they're building. So, but like at least for people who want to transition from iron sights, it's like, all right, you kind of want to get in the dot, then just go buy a Holosun SCS. It literally just puts a new fiber optic on front of your iron sights you're already shooting because it's that low. It's like, here's your dot. Just shoot the irons and you can see the dot in there and you'll be fine.
It's kind of funny. Me switching from irons, I like the big boy dots. It makes me feel like I'm shooting irons. Give me a 10 MOA, looks like a fiber optic out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so much easier to shoot a bigger dot.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really paid attention to it until I had a bigger dot and looking through it, and I'm like, oh, this is cheating. This is really cheating.
I like the bigger dots, but the issue is that when you have people that have their guns that have co-witness irons, is that the bigger dot projects itself when you're looking through the co-witness irons as kind of bigger than the irons themselves.
That seems like a personal problem, honestly.
If it's a competition gun, just don't run co-witness.
Yeah,
I understand it for a carry gun, but
I'm not arguing about any of these points.
Well, that's actually an interesting question, Tommy. I mean, if you're going to run backup irons, would you put a fiber on that front sight?
No.
I've seen people do it, and I don't know if it's just because it's a holdover because that's what was on the gun already. But I'm like, why?
I am effing up already, and there's nothing out there except for a red dot, so I'm perfectly fine with it. Not having the confusion. I mean, this Shadow Systems has that big green front sight, but like you gotta the dot is much brighter from that when you're actually kind of aiming through the iron sights, but it's not as distracting. But I imagine if I had rear dots or the same red dot, the same color, it would be a little bit more.
Yeah. Shane, I forgot to tell you this. Like Shane Poloboy, yesterday we were shooting a stage, and I saw him over in the safety area, and I walked over, and I was just talking to him, and I'm looking at the gun. He's got a Shadow too, and I was like, "Oh, what's going on with it?" And he says, "I don't know. It's malfunctioning. It's jamming up like every other round. It's stupid inaccurate. I'm not sure what's looking." And I'm just like, "Okay." So I started looking at him with him, and I turned the gun over, so I'm kind of looking at the barrel, and then there's the barrel there, and there's this big giant opening. I'm like, where's your barrel bushing? What?
Oh no. Problem identified.
Yeah.
I literally watched about 1,200 rounds go through a bunch of different Glocks yesterday, no issues. And I see a Shadow 2 on our squad, can't get it to run, and then you're talking about some other guy who's lost his barrel bushing. Like, it's freaking 2023. We can machine the front of the slides now that just have a hole for the barrel. It can't be done.
And you know what? I mean, a Honda Civic is a fine automobile.
How about that DWX?
Yeah, but you're literally like the CZ75 is like a horse and buggy car that got placed with a rocket engine in the back instead of horses, but it's still got wood wheels. So it's just like sometimes it ignites and sometimes it goes. Oh, it went too fast.
It's got a nice spoiler. Got a nice spoiler on it with a body job and some nice paint.
What's wrong with it? The hub fell off. What's wrong with it this time? The canvas cover caught too much air.
There's no doubt that the barrel bushing on the CZ is not great. I've lost one before in a match, and so yeah, you're like this sucks.
Well, at least it doesn't. At least it doesn't hold something that's as pivotal to shooting a handgun like the front sight. Like, what if you had to pin the front sight in and that held the barrel bushing in? Wouldn't that be crazy?
The thing about the barrel bushing on the CZ that everybody actually gets wrong is when they remove the roll pin to change the front sight or whatever, they reuse that roll pin.
Roll pins?
And
what kind of guns use roll pins? XDs? What else?
You literally sound like a soldier in the Civil War riding back to his beloved Gertrude. Gertrude, it has been many months since I have...
Would you mail me some extra roll pins?
Seen your alabaster skin. Goodness gracious. You know, they still use horse and buggy at the CZ factory because they don't have loading docks yet. So they just
let's just say, and you guys are sitting here mocking my gun, but we got to change everything because my gun is somehow so superior to yours.
No,
Listen, the rules. We're not fighting about the rules, but everyone
Uh-huh.
here is shooting something that mostly is fine.
Mostly fine.
Look, I change all the rules you want. I'll just shoot a Glock. I'm fine. I'm all right.
That's cool. I'm holding out for the Glock 50. Don't know what it's going to be, but I want a Glock 50.
Even
No,
the
really though, I'll be on our side. Don't they run barrel bushings for the accuracy still? Because a barrel bushing can still be more accurate than a bull barrel.
Probably.
I believe that's why they're still running. Like they are more accurate than a bull barrel still. So if you're going for pure accuracy, which
Well, the nice thing about bushing over a bull barrel is as time kind of starts to wear in that slide, if you need to replace the bushing, that's cheap. It's easy to replace, and you can tighten the accuracy back up. You can't really do that without replacing the entire slide on a bull barrel.
See, I always thought they ran a bushing in there because the gun doesn't work without one.
I don't know.
All right. next
Wise
question.
ass, Tom.
Listen, I gotta catch shit for like 10 years. I just give Robert a solid 5 minutes, and it's just like, all right, Tom,
the
it's
gun's
enough.
already
It's
the
enough.
gun's already
Tom.
60 ounces. They can't run a bull barrel too. It'd be 64 ounces.
I don't have a gun that weighs 60 ounces.
I'm sorry, 58.
54 until I load it.
56 with the ice on it from yesterday.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun. But no, that is I've you go look at my parts bin. That is the thing about the CZ. 100%. That thing, you have to be willing and prepared to maintenance that gun. There's no doubt about it. It's a performance gun, which means that you're gonna have to take care of it. I mean, the beauty of a Glock is that it has like 26 parts, and half of them can break, and the gun's still gonna dang run. It's the same with a Beretta. I mean, but those guns were built for the military to do what the military wanted based on military specifications. And so, yeah, they're going to run like a top. Glocks are awesome that way.
Yep.
I love Glocks for that reason. They just run.
We're gonna get you with the 43 for your birthday.
We're gonna get
Which one's the 43?
Whatever the new one is. What's the new one? The 48?
The 47.
47?
No, we're gonna get him the steel frame Palmetto State dagger once that comes
Yeah.
out, and then he can put brass. It has grip panels, everybody,
Ooh.
so you can put brass grips on it.
I
And it
tell you
takes
what,
1911 panels.
After the first 3 stages yesterday, I was seriously like reconsidering, like, do I really want brass grips on this thing? Because it sucked so bad.
You just need
You're already gonna get the new, what are they called?
The DWX?
The hard polymer grip panels, swapping it out.
just
Maybe.
for cold
He-
weather.
Swap
He
something.
can't lose that weight, Jared.
Freaking, what does he want? The gun to fly out of his hands? All right.
I like the way the gun is. I mean, if we want to start playing this game of taking things off the gun that aren't necessary, why don't we start taking the magwells off 2011s? Let's take the
do
fiber
it.
optic sights
Do it.
off of
All
them.
right, I'm
Let's
gonna-
do
Let's put it back to
That's
nice,
fair.
nice
I-
heavy pounds and stuff
I
like
love
that. We can
this.
take
I
all
love-
of the parts that Kenny put into that beautiful, gorgeous, even though it's an Infinity. I mean, 2011. We can take all that crap out of there, but we're not going to.
I didn't add anything. It came with fibers and a magwell.
Well, so did mine.
It came with brass grips from
Absolutely it did. Robert's factory grips.
We have any more questions? We have any more
No,
questions?
that's it.
That's it. All right. Well, thank you for joining us on another episode of Rocket Wagon. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Hernandez. Anyways, thanks for downloading, listening, subscribing. Thanks for sharing it with a friend. Thanks for not sharing it with a friend because you're embarrassed of it. That's fine. We can stay a close-knit group of people. Anyway, for Steve Koski, Kenny Terry, Robert Wyatt, Jared Stepp, I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and soul as we depart into the open waters of the Sea of Life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Good night, everybody.
toot toot,
Doot doot.
Derp derp.
tug tug.
Rub, rub.
Bark, bark. Beep, beep.